Dear viewer, today we're going to talk about two topics, as we always do. Kaspar is going to talk about something negative. That's not what he always does, but today it's his turn to talk about something negative. And I'm going to talk about something that is really positive in the financial markets at the moment. What are we going to talk about? We're going to talk about France, La France, and we're going to talk about Bitcoin in this case. So, thank you for watching.
And I'm going to talk about the situation in France. As you probably have seen this week, a lot of big problems in the parliament. The premier is sent home because the opposition passed a non-confidence motion against Prime Minister. I have to look at Michel Barnier, and that happened only 60 years ago for the last time. And this can only happen once a year. So new elections in France only will be held somewhere in the summer, from the summer next year. So at the end, nothing has changed. But what is the problem? Because it's all about the budget 2025 and the coalition, but also the political landscape is quite well divided in France. You have the right, the extreme on the right, extreme on the left, and in the middle. And that makes the situation so difficult. So for the budget next year, it's stuck. So it's really difficult to come to a conclusion. And it will have a lot of effects. And one of the effects is that you saw this week is that the interest rates are going up. And that now the market this week decided that France is a worse debtor than, for example, Greece. Now that says something. And they have to refinance 300 billion next year. So this is not so good news. And we talked about a couple of weeks ago about Germany, the status of Germany, and it's also not going well. France is also a large economy of Europe, and also if that's not going well, I think it has effects on the rest of Europe, unfortunately. Okay, what is the consequences on the stock market? And you can see that it has already a lot of consequences on the stock market. It's almost the end of the year. It's the 5th of December. Yeah. But if you look at the stock market, Martin, the result of this year, we have all the S&P in our mind. We started with 4,700, we're now 6,000, really good. We only think about the good thing, positive. But the French stock market is slightly minus this year. Yeah. It went up during the summer and then it went down. But if you compare it, for example, with German stock market, the DAX, they went into this year around 16,700. They're now above the 20,000. So even in Germany, where it's not going well, the French stock market is really going really bad. Yeah. Is that then an opportunity to step in? Because if something goes down, it must go up, and you can buy the whole stock market through an ETF or a fund. Then I think it's not quite the case, because if you look at the PE, it's around 17.3. So that means how many times do you buy the profit of the averages of the 44 biggest France companies? And if you look at the bandwidth over the last 5 years, that was between 14 and 17.6. So now it's 17.3. So still, the companies are really expensive. Yeah. And if you look further back, this high 17 point something that we saw in 2002, 2003. So in the years in between, we can show it in the chart, they have lower PEs. So it's still high if you only look at the French market and you go back over the years. If you then compare that to the rest of the world, the rest of the world, but that's including the US, has a PE of 21. If you look at the Western countries and you take the US out, it's 16. So if you compare France to the Western world without the US, then it's also still a little bit expensive. And then you do a little bit more deep dive and look at other countries. Germany, for example, have a lower PE of 16. 17.3 for France.
The market is a lot higher.
Yeah. United Kingdom, Japan, Germany, Italy, China, Brazil, they're all lower. For example, Italy had an average, had a PE over the Italian stock market, of the MIBO, of 10. Yeah. That is cheap. You can say that's cheap. But the French, the prices of the biggest France companies are still on average high. Yeah. I make a little sidestep to the S&P 500 because I saw it in our investigation. I think it was quite remarkable. That's why I want to mention. If you look at the most expensive sector now in the US, within the S&P 500, that it's real estate. You pay on average 36 times the profit. 36 times. That's amazing. And then IT, that's 37, a little bit low, but we know that, and that has a great outlook, etc. But I didn't know that the real estate in the US that's such a good outlook. I don't understand. And to close off my negative story, unfortunately, if you look at the French market from a technical perspective, and you look at the MSCI, so the averages of the last 50 days and the 200 days, those two parameters, and we can show them also in the screen, are also negative. So that means that the trend line of the last 50 days and 200 days of the French market is going to decline. Unfortunately. But
Not very
you
good
should
news.
know. You should know as an investor.
You should be aware of it. Absolutely. And,
Now positive.
Now positive
Martin.
news. Yes, the positive guy from the office. So Bitcoin. I mean, we made a sort of deal that we would never talk about it.
No, we spoke about it, but not too much.
Not too much, no, because we want to focus on the markets, but Bitcoin is getting a place in the financial markets, and quite drastically. And you see that it's going to its all-time high. It doesn't make a lot of sense that I'm saying where it is, because we all know it's above 100,000 at this moment, 103,000.
Only people that don't read newspapers, don't watch television, don't know.
Otherwise, everybody knows about it, and it's written everywhere, and everybody talks about it. At school, everybody's talking about Bitcoin. And what is driving that rally? That rally was already initiated at the beginning of the year when the SEC, the American Security and Exchange Commission that looks at the financial markets, that makes sure that everybody walks in line, approved 11 Bitcoin ETFs in the market from bigger players like BlackRock, ARK Invest, Fidelity. So that gave a big inflow of cash, dollars, euros, going into these ETFs. And most of them are also hedged by physical Bitcoin. So they're buying those Bitcoins and holding them in a wallet for you, and you then basically have them as your ETF position. Canada was actually the first one that made this ETF in that part of the world. In Europe, we already had an alternative way before. I think it was 2015, 2016 on the Swedish stock market, which I'll explain to you a little bit further on. And then, of course, after we had this approval of the SEC, we also had the elections in the US. And what happened there, we talked about it also several times. Donald Trump won the elections, and he is advocating quite heavily for Bitcoin, amongst other things. What is he doing? He just kicked out, for instance, or he's going to replace Gary Gensler, that is the actual boss of the SEC, and he's going to replace him by Paul Atkins. Paul Atkins is a pro crypto and blockchain person. He's going to be the new head of the SEC when Trump takes seat. And also he screams, or he brings out publications on X and everywhere else that the crypto must be part of America's financial future. Well, those statements make, of course, the crypto mania going even to a next level, right? So also what he says is that he's opposing to the initiative that what we're doing in Europe. We're talking about the CBDC, the central bank digital currency. He says that's not what it's meant for. He sees that Bitcoin is like the new gold. It's basically the new currency, to say it like that, because when you have an ethos of decentralizing, it doesn't make sense that the central bank is then gonna bring out that currency. So he also brought it into his campaign. He said also, for instance, that the United States will have to have a Bitcoin reserve. Well, you all know how big the debt and the economy of the United States is. So if they want to have a reserve in Bitcoins, that will mean that there's a lot of
They can sell some gold.
They can sell some gold, yeah, but it means that there's a lot of Bitcoins to be bought still, and there's not so much out there. So all in all, I think it's if you look at the market and the macro parameters, Bitcoin is getting a place as a reference, comparing it to gold. Also, Jerome Powell just now he mentioned that Bitcoin is to be compared with gold. Well, those sort of people that saying those things are, of course, bringing that price up. It's simple. And who is the big winner if you look at stocks and that are related to Bitcoin? MicroStrategy, we talked about it I think 2 years ago something, and the CEO at that time lent loads of billions of dollars and put that money in Bitcoin. And we sort of like, okay, what is he doing? In 2021 the stock was at 100 and it went down to $20, 150 to 20. And this year the MicroStrategy stock has rallied over 500%. So
But the company has nothing to do with the Bitcoin.
No,
he just
no,
borrowed
no.
money to buy Bitcoins.
Bitcoin, yeah.
And that's why the share price went up. So
Yeah, it's really simple.
it's now a Bitcoin company.
Yeah.
I think the assets of the Bitcoin are the biggest asset of the whole company, I think.
I don't know. Yeah, it's a micro strategy. He's just doing one thing, which is buying Bitcoin. So, yeah, the company itself actually lost money. Many years. If you look at 2023, they made actually a profit of 400 million. This year, they're expecting to lose 500 million. I don't know if that was before the crypto mania, but all the other years, like 2022, 2021, 20, they lost substantial amounts. Here, for instance, 2020, they lost 1.5 billion. 2021, they lost 550 million. So that's 2 years, almost 2 billion of losses. Then of course Bitcoin has fueled now the rally, but be careful with that company. Have a look at it. Stock market, Bitcoin, buying Bitcoin on the stock market. You can buy it very easily. I already mentioned it to clients in 2007. If you want to do it, and everybody wanted to have some exposure, I said be careful. You have a wallet, you have to have your keys, you have to store them, you can lose them. There's funny stories out there of a guy that is going every day to the scrapyard to find an old laptop which holds his keys because he's multi-billionaire, but he lost the keys, so he cannot touch his Bitcoins. So how to do it easily is by buying the Bitcoin tracker on the Swedish stock market. It's in euros, so you pay for that thing at the moment 4,600 euros. You multiply that by 20 and you have 1 Bitcoin. So you could say, okay, I can buy 1/20th part of a Bitcoin by acquiring this ETF. The price is 4,615. The cost is 2.5% per year. It has a kit, so it has a key information document. So read the essential investment information before taking position, that you know what you're buying is very important. So you're having exposure to Bitcoin, just 1-to-1, no leverage. But of course, we know the fluctuations can be quite heavily.
So, and the good thing is, if you buy it through us or through a bank that offers it, because not all the banks offer it, is that you don't have to have a special key, bro. You just buy it through your bank account.
Like
your bank account, your bank account is regulated, so you have it in your same portfolio. You see it, you follow it. It follows 1-to-1 the Bitcoin, and the cost of buying it is normally cheaper even than buying it through a broker.
10,000 euros is like 10 euros. You know, so cheap it is.
Yeah.
And if you want to go short because you think this is going all way too fast,
go back to 20,000, for example. If that's your vision.
If that's your vision, you can go short, and there's a product out there, also an ETF. But I really want you to be very, very careful with this if you're going to do this, because the product is designed to provide a -1 daily exposure. So it's not like, okay, I'm going short at 100,000, and today it goes to 595, but tomorrow you come back to 105. You basically lose 10. You win 5. But the next day you lose 10.
It's like a future.
So it's
daily
really
settlement.
a daily settlement. So it's
only do it when you know the
understand
product,
it. It has also a fact sheet. Read it through. That you can buy it on the stock market of Amsterdam, the stock market of Switzerland, and Italy. It's the 21 share short Bitcoin ETN. The ticker code SBTC. Do your homework before buying any of these products. Okay? Promise me that. Thank you for watching.
Give us your thumb.
And we see each other next week.
Subscribe. See you next week.